Welcome to our second session on innovation. In this session, we'll discuss the differences between innovative and non-innovative activities. In our last session, we already touched onto one of the major differences, and that is the frequency. Innovative activities are extremely rare. We think we understand innovation because we see innovation, we copy innovation into our lives, but that's other people's innovation. We actually ourselves have very little innovation in our lives. But because we are familiar with it, or we think we are, we have a tendency to think we understand it when we really don't. And that gets us into a lot of trouble. And that's explained by our next major difference between innovation and non-innovation activities. And if we think about it, this one is actually quite self-evident, but its implications are profound. That is, the unknown. The fundamental characteristic of innovation is that it comes out of what is currently not known. And that's kind of obvious, right? It's new activity. So why would that be significant? Well, non-innovative activities are predefined. We know what those activities are going to do and what their result is going to be. When I load the dishwasher, I follow the steps. I put the plates in, I put the cups in, I put the silverware in, I put the soap in, I close the lid, and away goes the dishwasher. Ideally, there is nothing unknown in that process. Anything that's unknown in a non-innovative process is almost exclusively, not completely, but almost all negative. My hand slips and the plate falls and breaks in the floor of the dishwasher. That's an unknown, but it's not a good one. I load up my washing machine and it starts doing the wash. And all of a sudden I hear this thunk, 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 right? Because it's out of balance. The heavy part of the load is on one side. That can be an unknown, but it's not one that I really like to hear. And I sit there going, do I go and rebalance the load, or do I hope that the water spins out enough that my washing machine doesn't tear apart? Again, unknowns are not really positive in a non-innovative activity. Say a construction job. You've got the blueprints, you're following the blueprints, everything's going well, and then you need to, the electrician to come in, and the electrician comes down with COVID. And so the electrician is out for the next 2 weeks. That's an unknown, not a good one. Occasionally, a non-innovative task can result in an unknown that everyone is like, yay, this is great. Let's say I go to an antique store and I'm browsing through and I see something that looks nice and I buy it. That's pretty standard kind of activity. There's not been a lot of innovation in that realm for a long time. You just go to the store and you buy it. Well, then it sits on my wall, then someone comes along and goes, hey, that's a famous painting by whoever, and that's worth $10 million. Well, that's a great unknown. That really helped my life. But again, the unknowns are kind of, they're out there. They're edge cases. They aren't the core of a non-innovative process. The core of a non-innovative process is known steps. So when you have companies or processes in your life where you're following for non-innovative tasks, everything is defined, everything is known up front. I say everything, there's always the thing that happens, but the core of it is all known activities. Innovation, on the other hand, is quite different. So to kind of summarize the thing, unknown element of innovation is generally what you'd call a buffer, right? If you're making a project plan and you throw in some extra space in order to avoid having your schedule run over, right? You go, well, okay, we want to build this house. It'll take whatever many months, but let's add on some extra buffer time to handle the unexpected, the unknown. So oftentimes that unknown element just gets stuffed into the buffer. And ideally, it stays in the buffer. If it escapes the buffer, then you've got a problem. You really want unknown activities to be very limited in non-innovative tasks. However, in innovation, the buffer, if you will, the place where the unknown is, that's where progress happens. That's the center of activity, is the unknown space rather than the known space. And that makes for a very different approach to project management, to processes. Well, let's walk through a really simple example. Let's say I want to make a new kind of pasta noodle that attracts more sauce to it and holds more sauce on it than most of your traditional pasta noodles that you have on the market. Well, in a non-innovative process, I would be able to answer questions like, how long is it going to take? What is it going to look like? But in an innovative process, how long is it going to take? I don't know, because I don't know what this noodle will look like. I don't know how many different noodle designs I will have to try to find out my result. And do I know what it looks like? Well, no, it's new. I don't know. So the very fact that your work is centered in the unknown makes innovation totally different than non-innovative activities. So in our next session, we'll delve into what it looks like to be working in an unknown space. Thanks for joining us.